Out front now, Republican Senator from Mississippi, Roger Wicker. And Senator, I appreciate your time tonight. So Senator Wicker, let me start here on Merrick Garland himself. Nearly 20 years on one of the highest courts in the land, the D.C. Circuit. He served under George H.W. Bush. He oversaw the Oklahoma City bombing investigation. Do you have any issues with Merrick Garland's ability?
Well, you know, Erin, this is why I'm glad we made our position clear early on. This is not at all about any particular nominee. I don't know anything about Judge Garland's qualifications, but the position that we've taken consistently is that this is a decision that the American people can now make during an election year, and it's wrong this far into the presidential election to have someone swing the court in a different direction without trusting the people to speak to that issue first.
So to that point, though, the American people right now, the majority of them, the vast majority, Senator, believe that there should at least be hearings for the president's Supreme Court nominee pick. 70% of Republicans, 67% say that there should be hearings. Are you, as a senator, is the Senate ignoring the voters by not holding hearings for Merrick Garland?
I really think it's the other way around. I feel very comfortable letting the people speak to this and giving them an opportunity to express themselves. Which direction do they want the court to take? Do they want it to stay in the sort of 5-4 direction that Justice Scalia maintained a majority for, or do they want it to swing in an entirely left-wing direction? And so I think the people actually will appreciate us once we get on into the discussion of the issues. They will appreciate senators who gave them an opportunity to vote on this issue in terms of a presidential election and choosing the type of president that wants the court to move in one direction or the other.
Now, what's interesting when you say, you know, a left-wing nominee, of course, a lot of people were surprised, including many in your own party. They thought the president would really go for a left-wing nominee, but he didn't. By all accounts, Merrick Garland is not that. You may not agree with everything he's had to say, but he is not a far left-wing judicial activist. And this is something that actually made a fellow senator of yours on the Judiciary Committee think twice. Senator Jeff Flake said something earlier today that I thought was very interesting, and I wanted to play it for you, Senator.
Okay.
If Republicans are not successful in the November election, I hope we are, but if we're not, then we ought to look at this nomination in a lame duck session in November. I would rather have a less liberal nominee like Merrick Garland than a nominee that Hillary Clinton, if she were president, would put forward.
So do you agree with Senator Flake?
Well, let me just say I have a great deal of respect for Jeff Flake. He's a wonderful senator from Arizona, and I've admired him for a long time. I'm going to decline to speculate about what might happen in the general election. I appreciate his point of view, but I think I would rather stand on the principle that this is a decision that should be made by the American people, and they have the opportunity in just a few short months to really decide the direction the Supreme Court will go.
So it
I'm
sounds
more
like
comfortable
what you're
with
saying,
that viewpoint.
Okay. I'm sorry, but it sounds like what you're saying, though, I want to make it clear. What you're saying is if the voters choose Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, then you would not want to go ahead with a nominee because Merrick Garland might be less liberal than the nominee that one of them would pick. You would let them pick, because that's the principle, is the next president picks.
What I'm doing is declining to speculate about what might happen right after the presidential election. I hope the American people, and I believe the American people, will choose a president in November that will not completely change the direction of the Supreme Court. And I think this should be an issue in the election. I feel very confident in letting the American people speak to this in November.
All right. Well, Senator Wicker, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, sir.